Hello. Okay, we're up. It is a wonderful Wednesday today. We're back. If so you can see here, there's a couple changes. We don't just have art and some animations anymore. We now have, a bit of logic here. It's only done for level 1. And I feel like this is not the right way to go about this for the movement. I think it should not be when backdrop switches to level 1. We need a different event. I think it's like when the sprite is like shown. Or like something that goes off every time it's like, time to play. So we could call broadcast a message, or we could just leave it here. I think we leave it here for now and we can make it look nicer later because this still works. So right now we're just working here with level 1, and the idea so far is that we set the player to a starting point, on screen, and then whenever you use the right arrow, it then just moves it doesn't move the player, it changes a variable. And the whole idea is we're gonna set the position of, you know, the stuff, like the level instead. And we're gonna do it based off of this. So it's gonna be we're gonna see how we're gonna do that. So you get the actual position of the thing, and then you subtract it by the position of this, so it brings it here. So the further you go to the right, the more this is gonna go here. Now when you go left, when it subtracts by minus, it's going to add, so it's going to go further to the right or further up. Yes, so that's how we're going to do it. And then we have to figure out a way to hide it whenever it goes off screen, but that's for later. So what we need to do now is start making our level. Okay, that's the wrong menu. Okay, that's a problem. Yeah, so let's sort that out. I feel like just some simple wooden platforms for wrong menu again. Just simple wooden platforms for now. We can make it look, we can make better ones later. But yeah, so that is order of business after. But I think, yeah, just simple wooden platforms, go bitmap. And we can like stretch them out, I think, and make them bigger, stuff like that. And then just that's how the positioning of those is gonna work. And then we gotta figure out like how to do collisions and keeping stuff on top. But yeah, that's what comes in next. Let's just draw now. Okay, so let's in. We're gonna want a brown. So go to red, go back here, and we got a nice brown. Now this pixel, let's go back to 10, like it defaults to. So, and oh, we're still on the brush. Oh, brush is already on 10. Yay. So let's center this. Let's just use a line. What am I doing here? Oh, the line is really thin right now. 10. All right. we just make it the entire length of this. And then we can just make the sprite smaller to change the size. So for now, we're going to keep it simple like this, especially for the first level, where you're just learning to get the hang of things. No need for tough jumps. There we go. And I think this is good. So just call this platform. Platform. Okay. Yeah, it's really good. Save. And now we need to decide platform's position. I want this to be off screen. So let's just grab it and move it first. Can we just throw it over there? Yeah, we can just go all the way out like that until the very tip of it. The tip of it won't be able to go. Yeah, let's X500. I believe that's the very end. Why won't you work? Oh, nope, that's as far as it goes. 478. We can't see it now. Or if we can, we barely can. Let's see. Can we see it? Yeah, barely. Right there. So let's get position stuff. Position. All right. So when backdrop switches to level 1, we're going to show. So based off the levels, we'll have different ones. So show, when the game starts, we want this to hide. So let's grab our when flag clicked and backdrop switches to duplicate. Let's show out. Backdrop switches to start screen. Level select. All of these we're going to hide it because we don't want them. Okay. Don't know if we did all of this with our player though. Did we do all this with our player? With start screen, but not to player select, to level select. So let's do this because level we do have to go back to level select every time. So now we have that. And we now want a level 1. So we said show. Now we want it to go to a certain spot. Let's say we want it to go to we're gonna want a loop, a forever loop, and then we're gonna go. We want operators for minus. Let's say we want to place this at 700 and let's say 400. And then our variables, level, our player X, and our player Y. Let's see if this works. First thing is, we shouldn't be able to see it, and if we can, it should be on the very edge. And then when we start going to the right, it should show. Oh, are we past it? No. It's very far out. Let's see. Maybe that's it. Okay. So We're going to the right, going to the right. Yeah, we're not gonna see it until it hits. 700 may have been too much. Okay. While we're stopping, how's everybody doing? There's probably no one. But yeah, if it does show up, we'll know. So the screen's only like 470, so we need to wait till like 200 something. But yeah, alright, almost there. The fact that we can't see it now is giving me hope though that it actually is off screen where it is. I have no idea if it's actually where we're telling it to go or not, but here's the thing, we gave it a really, really, really high Y as well, I think. 400. I don't know how big the screen is, like height wise. So we might just not be able to see it because it's too high. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Oh, it's right there. It's showing up. It's getting closer, closer. And then we go to the left. It's going away. Alright, our player is quite slow. We do need a faster player. I was worried it was going to be too fast, but no, no, no. We need quite the faster player. So instead of 0.5, let's make it 1. And a -1. But like the whole idea with the world being super large, it makes sense. But no. And then let's lower this platform to a reasonable height of like 200. Especially because we can't jump right now. So if we want to reach it, okay, let's set player X to 0. No, let's make them both like reasonable. Let's make this a 400. And let's go to variables, set player X to 0. Now let's try this one more time. And now we're gonna move to the right. Okay. Characters are still really slow, so no, we need a bigger number. Let's let's just get a good numbers where it like feels nice for the player. I get, yeah, the player's tiny, but like it needs to feel nice. Yeah, our player X already has something, but eh. Also the player animation is really tiny, so like you can barely see it. And one thing I'm thinking about doing is making it so our player can move, but once the player reaches like the edge, it starts to increase the player X and player Y, because then, you know, it'll properly like change things, but I'm not sure. But yeah, so our player can move. It's really slow and it's really, really, what is it? Not smooth. So I am gonna put, hmm, yeah. Okay, so I think we do it so the player X doesn't start happening until it's like off like a certain point on screen. So our player should be able to walk still. So we're gonna check first we're gonna do another if statement that's gonna surround all of these. If we want to grab an operator less than this is for all for our x stuff. So if motion our x position is less than 400, then we do this. No, we don't want this. By 400, we want to. This is going to be in the else. All of this, both of these, are going to the else statement. There we go. And if it's less than 400, then we just want. Let's just. I want to duplicate it. Duplicate the ifs, and then we're gonna, because we still want the animation. So, and we're just gonna take out change player x by 2 to some actual motion. Change x by 2. That way you do get closer to things until you hit a certain point, and then it just starts bringing it closer. So I think that works. And then we're gonna go put we want to change x by -2. And there we go. There. Let's try this. Let's see how this works. We don't change these variables until we're off screen. And I want to make player x 0. Variables set player x to 0. There we go. Now let's try this. Okay, so we can move around. Our player is really slow. Like, it's not even funny. Till a certain point, we need an or statement. But it should work to the right. So once we reach there, because this player is excruciatingly slow. Wherever 400 is, this should start coming closer to us instead of us closer to it. Where's 400? Where is our player now? Our player is x244. Oh, save please. Okay, so if that's 244, then we need to do it from like 220. So x position 220, and then let's try it also. Or if x position is at less than 220 and greater than. So let's get it greater than. Duplicate x position. 20. Then we throw this in here. Okay, so now if the player is, as long as the player is greater than 20 and less than 220, we get to move. Else, we do the variables and bring stuff closer or further away from us. Okay, now Let's try this. Actually, wait, let's make the player much faster first. Make it 4, double the speed. 4, -4, 4, -4. Okay, so we have a player now that can move. Once we hit 220, that should be getting closer to us. Then we go backwards. Okay, now we're stuck there because it loops forever. Okay, I see. So because we're now stuck in this cycle, our x can't change. Huh. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. So this is looping through. And once we're there, we're not actually changing our x's anymore. We've just stuck the player there. How do we figure this out? So how would we do this? Anybody got any ideas? I'm thinking now. How do we do this? What do we do? So, if we, what do we logically want to do? When we hit 220, we want to make it so moving to the right brings stuff closer, but we don't want moving to the left too. So I think we should split up moving to the right and moving to the left, because then we can check individually for the x position and y position. So when we start going left, it'll change our x. So we don't stack them on top of each other, and we split them. So this is if left arrow pressed. So we have two if else's, one for the right, one for the left. Yeah. So let's get an if else. No, we want it outside there. All right. So if, grab the whole block, please. Okay. So by splitting it up, so this is going to be, this is the one for the bottom. So if it's greater than 20, it means the movement. We get to move if it's greater than 20. If it's not, we're going to change our x when we're going to the left. And then if it's, but then the right isn't impacted. Okay, so let's try this. Yeah, player x is 20 right now, it's fine. So now we go to the left. 20 is there. This is 0. Is it? Where's 0? If we set our character to 0, 0. Yes, okay. Why are we doing 36? Let's set it to 0, 0 now, because our character is perfectly in the center now. Okay. And variables. We do need to set this to 0 also, so let's set our player x and player y to 0 as well. Right before this. Set player x to 0, set player y to 0. We're not using the y yet, but it doesn't hurt to set it now. Okay. Now we're good. There we go. Let's set to 0. and we go to the right, we get to hit a certain point, and then it's going to start bringing that closer. But now we want to move to the left. It doesn't. And then we're going to hit a certain point, which is not the point we want. We'll bring it further to the left. It's probably going to be negative 220. It's going to start going back. And then we go there. It's not moving. Okay, now you still give the player a sense. We still have that ability to side scroll, but you give the player a little more sense of they're actually moving because they do actually move. So yeah, let's try negative 220. It's clear that this is like centered on 0. Okay. I'm gonna try 200. 200. Negative 200. Just because I don't want them like hugging the edge of the screen. Please save. Thank you, Scratch. Huh. Okay. So yeah, we get to go to the right, go to the right, go to the right. There we go. I do want to give our player a white outline also real quick, just so the player like sticks out compared to everything else. So yeah, let's go to the very left, and it's gonna start to disappear. And goodbye. And we could check, I think we could do this two ways. We can check, and I saw this in a video, if what is it? If the position we're actually telling the platform to go is actually being gone to, or we can check if the platform is out of screen and we hide it, and then the second it becomes on screen, we show it again. But I think for now we don't worry about that. For now we worry about movement stuff and jumping onto things. I still think four's too fast, four's too slow. I'm gonna go to a 5, and that should be fine. Actually, I'm gonna 6 right away, just 6. Negative 6. Alright, let's try this. Alright, I still really think our player needs to be able to jump, but we're gonna add the. Alright, this is a lot nicer. Okay. Let's now do the jumping. We need an if statement. This is gonna again have to have like the upper barrier. So what is the very bottom? 0. This is 0. So the very bottom is 0. So I'm guessing the top. How tall is this? I'm not sure. I think we find out later. Figure it out in a bit. But we just need to add jumping first. So we're gonna have an if then, an if else. There we go. We don't want it inside of this. We want it inside the forever. So we're gonna go grab an operator. No, not an operator. We want to get this if key. Let's just do space for now. We can move it to WASD later if you want to. If the space bar is pressed, I made a gravity. So player motion. Let's grab player Y. Change Y. No, this is not right. The if then else is for the special things we're doing. We take this out. We just want a regular if then. If then. If the key space is pressed, change Y by And then this is a cool trick I learned, is that we set not our player Y, we set our gravity. Where's our gravity? To the number we want, player gravity, and then we slowly decrease it. So change Y by player gravity. So the jumping up is going to be slowed down and then it's going to go down faster. So this is first going to make our player just clip through all the way down to the bottom. So let's change instead of player, and then we change the gravity by -1 and set this to 20. Okay, so we need like a weight somewhere in here because this is going to be way too fast. Look at this. Let's see how it works. I'm going to press the space bar, see what happens. Oh, it worked. Oh, it's because it's only checking while it's pressed. Okay, so we're gonna want, yeah, so it just changes it by 20 immediately. Sometimes it even does more. Let's say you hold it. Let's see what happens if you hold it. It sets it to 20 every time. So we need to, and then we have to do another if variable. Player gravity is going to be equal to the player gravity is not equal to 20 already. Set player gravity. This first, okay, so this is part of the problem. It's that if it's not, then change it. No, wait. Is not greater than 0. Operator, we want a greater than 0. So that means if it's 0, no. Let's just do if it is equal to 0. Just equal to. Alright, so if it's equal to 0, we can do this. Oh, where is it? We can't do player X because we're gonna have to jumping on platforms in the sky, so we want the player gravity. So if player gravity is equal to 0, sure, pressing the space bar is gonna change that. Not player X. We want player gravity. We can set it to 20. But if it's less than, no. Actually, wait. I think just is less than 0. Yeah, player gravity is less than 0 because we're going to be decreasing it. So that means if it's not like 20 or changing, like if we're not in the process of jumping, it's going to be less than 0. So if it's less than 0, we're going to be able to set it to 20. So that means you can jump. And we're just always going to be changing y by player gravity. And we want to be decreasing player gravity by 1 constantly. So what's going to happen is our player is immediately going to clip through the ground. Or just going to keep falling. And then whenever we press jump key, oh, but also whenever it's falling. Okay. So we need to make it so it has to be touching ground. So firstly, what height is our player at? Negative 34. So we're gonna have to do a couple changes first. We only change player's gravity by -1. This is gonna be an OR statement. So let's try. Actually, I think we just do a simple it can walk on the floor first. So so we need another if. So this is if x, if player x, because this one's gonna be an OR. So we're gonna make an OR. And wait a second. Wait a second. We could do this here too. You can't jump. Wait a second. This is different. We can do some ands here just to make this one if state. So if you press spacebar and then we need an or, you're touching the ground or you're touching one of the platforms, then we can change the player gravity. If not, nope. So we want an equal, x position is equal to 0, and let's just put this in now, motion sensing. You're touching, or the player is touching the platform. Then we can set the player's gravity to 20, and then we want another if. uh, Control for if that gives us. So if and then an operator for not. Then we want an equal to. So we're going to say if the x position is not equal to 0. No, wait. Yeah, if it's not equal to 0, then we can, go down. But the second it hits 0, it just stops. Because, yeah, it's just going to set it to, if it's not equal to 0, wait a second, we can put this in an if else. So we do something. My headphones making weird noises. Okay, that was weird. All right, you guys can still hear me fine, right? OBS says so. All right, so what are we doing next? Yeah, so we're gonna get an if else. So if our x position, why is the not in the equal to 0? Wait a second. Okay, so if x position is not equal to 0, then what is it? We change player gravity by -0. We're gonna always be changing y by player gravity, just always. And then else, we're gonna set player gravity to 0 here. if it's not equal to 0. So if it is equal to 0, we're changing our player gravity to 0. Okay, so if your player's on the ground, gravity becomes 0. All right, let's try this. Hopefully it works. If not, that's fine. So, so when we press jump, nothing happens. We can still move, but oh, I see what we did there. I see what's wrong. X position. We need Y position. That was a little funny. But we also saw that we couldn't jump. So if our Y is 0, we might not be able to jump. Yeah, with our Y being there, we can't jump. With this code, you cannot jump if you're on the floor. So, yeah, because then when it's 0, it sets your gravity to 0. I see. So, what we're going to do instead of this is we only change Y by player gravity if it's not 0. And we make this not anything else. I thought I was smart there. That was bad. Alright, we just want an if then. Oh wait. No, that also worries about the key being pressed. Alright. Control. If you're not if it's not 0, you can do this. If not, nothing's gonna happen. Oh wait. We still want to always be changing Y by this. Okay. So let's try this one more time. Let's see what happens now. Still clip through the ground. I think we can set player gravity to 0. It's just the issue of changing Y. So we should still have that else statement. It's right. I'm still a little confused. If we did that else. Yeah, but then it says if you're at 0, set it to. I see. This is interesting. What if we just do something simpler? If a less than, let's grab a less than, let's try this. Let's see how janky this looks in game. If motion, the Y is less than 0, then okay, so what we're saying is we always want to change player gravity by -1. And we always want to change the Y of the player by however our player gravity is. But as long as the player, whenever the player is below 0, we want to set our Y to 0. This is gonna be funky. If Y position is less than 0, motion set it to set Y to 0. So yeah, so whenever it's less than 0, we're gonna set it to 0. Okay, let's see, does this work? Yeah, it does. Because they're in the same thing, like since we only have one, you can't jump and move at the same time. Now we can't jump. Why can't we jump? because we're constantly less than. Our y position is just infinitely going to be less than because we're changing. Okay. Okay, instead of it being if your y position was equal to 0, you set player gravity to 0. What if it's less than? I have an idea. Yeah. Remember when we were doing if it was not and things? Yeah, alright. So I have an idea. Instead of doing equal to 0, it's less than 0. So, alright. Or wait a second. Idea. Um, yeah. No, better idea. Change this for a less than. Also, why are we doing x position here again? If y position equals 0. If your y position is equal to 0, we can also do if your y position is less than 0. So what do we want to do? Is there a less than or equal to, or do you have to make it yourself? You have to make it yourself. All right, I'm going to just do equal to because I'm going to make another function, another if statement, that if hmm, if your y position is less than 0, motion stuff first. No, wait, no, variables. Set player gravity to 0, motion, set y to 0. That means if we put a not and an else, wait, yeah, we're going back to what we had before, just this time with a less than. So if y position is not less than 0, so if it's 0 or more, so yeah, so if it's 0 or more, then you can start going down. And then if it is less than 0, set player gravity to 0, set y to 0. It should work. I think biggest problem was that being an x, to be honest. I think this should work pretty fine, even if we had left it the same other than just changing. Yeah, okay, it's doing a little bouncy business. So we're doing the if not. Okay, this should just constant. Yeah, the issue was that being an x. We can just take this all out. I don't know what we're doing now. We didn't do anything different. Control. Yeah, it was just that y. So if player y, we're gonna grab y position uh is equal is less than 0, set y to 0. Yeah, so if it's less than 0, set y to 0. And we might also want to make this less than 0, or no, wait, less than or equal to 0. So this should work now. Control S, set player gravity to 0. We can throw that out the window. Let's see, does it still do the bouncy stuff? Oh, we're going down, we're going down, we're going down. Huh. Why is it not working? let's just set player gravity to 0 whenever we do this as well. I think it's because we're changing player gravity before it. I think we should change player gravity by -1 at the start of the forever loop. And then at the end of it, we do everything else that way. Can we jump while we're in the sky? No, we can only jump while we're on the ground. Doesn't change the fact that our... Okay, and we can go left and right now. So one big problem here, everything's stacked on top of each other. We need to split these all up into separate functions. So, our first task is to just split them up, just in general with this. And then our next task is going to be to make it so we don't have to write all of this 4 times for each of the other levels. So we're going to duplicate this, duplicate it, because we want our, actually we only need twice, because it can't go left and right at the same time. So we only need 2. Save, let's save, because we did just a big change. Alright, so anything related to jumping can go out the window here. Anything related to jumping here, we can save, and then everything else can go out the window. So that way we only set our player Y here, set our player X there, just so we're not being redundant and having excessively long code. Okay, so there we have that, and this we have our forever. And where's our jumping stuff? Where'd our jumping things go? Did I get rid of it? Oh, I got rid of them by accident. Oh no, we need it back. There's our jumping stuff. So we throw this in the forever first. That way we just have... Wait a second, this isn't all of our jumping stuff. Where's the jumping stuff? Here's our jumping stuff. Right? Yeah, that's all jumping stuff. So now we just take all of this, throw it out. Then we grab the jumping stuff, put it back in. So now our jumping and our moving to the right and left are separate. They can happen on the same tick. And now we want to try this. We've just split everything up. Yeah, here there is no jumping stuff either. That redundancy is not a problem for now. Let's see what happens now. We still have that problem. But when you jump, it's not as glitchy. You don't jump as high too because you're not worried about the... And if I hold, nothing happens. Alright, but our first order of business is the fact that it's just clipping into the ground. At some point it didn't do that. Let's figure out what we are doing wrong that's causing this. Firstly, right. So we're gonna only do this thing when it's greater than 0. So that means if it's greater than 0, you can start going down. Okay, so what are we gonna do now? So this is all right. So what do we have here? What we have here is that first let's just get rid of this redundancy. The length of this code is brutal. I don't like this. Set our y to there. That there y can go out. Just leave our x. This one we threw our x, we leave our y. Okay, so set player y to 0. There we go. Oh, okay, there. So what we want to do, if you press the space key and you're touching the ground or you're at 0, then you can jump. So that sets it to 20. If it's less than 0, like if you are below 0, you want to set your player gravity to 0 and bring you back up to y equals 0. At all times, we're going to just change y by player gravity. And then another if we want is that as and then whenever you are above 0, you can start falling again. And then we can also put where you're not touching a platform. So rather than saying not 0 or not less than 0, just neither of them. Instead of having to put an and, it's just if it's greater than 0. So if your y position is greater than 0, you can fall. So wait, that means so this is an idea. The second, and else, we need to give this an else. Because the second you hit the ground again, we just want to set the player gravity to 0. No, we can't do that. We still have to have that intermittent, like, second. Because here's the thing. This is confusing. If your y position is greater than 0, you can fall. The second you hit less than that, we want to stop it. But the issue is that means anything less than 0 can't jump because it's always going to be setting itself back to player gravity equals 0. So we have to have the player gravity 0. Yeah, you need a spot where it can be both for a second. So let's just go Control Z. There. So that means, yeah. I changed the player gravity after that because yeah, so then but before the end of it, we can set it back. Okay. So now we don't have the jump, like the bouncy problem, and we're moving left and right, and nothing funky is happening. You jump, you go up. Yay! Still really weird with going left, like jumping, like the X and Y changing. Oh yeah, because you can jump again once you hit a platform. Okay, so now let's try the falling thing. So if you're not touching a platform, Ugh. Hmm. Is there an operator for negative? No. How about here? Any negative? Negative, negative? No. So we could just do 0 minus something. Okay, I see. So, yeah, let's grab an or. No, not an or. Yeah, we want an or for here. It's greater than 0, or you're not touching a platform. Touching a platform. Then you want to change to that negative. If it's there, then do that. And then another if. If you're touching a platform. We're going back to the same problem of this touching a platform doesn't have a, hey, did you just, how do we do this? I don't know. Ha. Okay. So if you're touching a platform, then, hmm, this is tough. Look, we've been going for a little over an hour. I think that's a good amount of time. We'd be back. Might have some progress, I might not. One thing is that, actually, no, never mind. I think that's everything. Yeah, that's all.